What you're about to witness isn't just another military skirmish. It's the moment everything changed in America's billion-dollar air campaign over Yemen. For weeks, we've watched as the United States has unleashed an unprecedented bombing campaign against the Houthi rebels in Yemen. But something has shifted. The recent downing of multiple advanced American drones represents a dangerous inflection point that few recognize for what it truly is, a fundamental challenge to America's technological supremacy in modern warfare. What we're witnessing is a critical breaking point in military asymmetry. The technological giant of America hasn't just been wounded. It's lost seven $30 million aircraft in under 6 weeks to fighters operating in one of the poorest countries on Earth. What happened behind closed doors that allowed the Houthis to neutralize some of America's most sophisticated unmanned vehicles? What invisible line has been crossed in this escalating conflict? And most importantly, what does it mean for you for global security and for the future of warfare when a non-state actor can systematically defeat advanced Western technology? By the end of this video, you'll understand why this moment changes everything and why what happens next will redefine America's military posture for decades to come. Deep in the rugged mountains of Yemen, Houthi fighters track an invisible predator soaring high above. Sophisticated sensors detect the faint electronic signature of an American MQ-9 Reaper drone, a $30 million marvel of military technology armed with advanced surveillance equipment and precision weapons. Within moments, a surface-to-air missile streaks skyward, and another multi-million-dollar American aircraft plummets to Earth. This wasn't a random success. This was the culmination of a deadly new capability. In the past 6 weeks alone, Houthi forces have shot down 7 American MQ-9 Reaper drones, with 3 downed just last week. The precision, the frequency, the systematic nature of these interceptions. Everything about this campaign speaks volumes about a fundamental shift in modern warfare. The restraints are off, and the world is about to understand what happens when America's technological advantage, the cornerstone of its military supremacy, begins to erode in real time. For years, we've watched a pattern. America deploys advanced technology, maintains air supremacy, and operates with relative impunity in conflict zones around the world. But something fundamental has changed. A breaking point has been reached that's transforming the entire strategic landscape of drone warfare. The question isn't just why these downings continue despite massive American air superiority, it's what comes next. What invisible calculation has been made in Yemen that keeps these successes flowing despite the devastating American bombing campaign? And what happens when other adversaries apply these same tactics against American assets worldwide? You know that feeling when something you've relied on, something that formed the foundation of your security and confidence, suddenly fails? When a certainty you've built your entire strategy around collapses before your eyes? That's what's happening to American military planners. Not once, not twice, but 7 times in the span of a mere 6 weeks. Each MQ-9 Reaper costs approximately $30 million, representing nearly $210 million in losses. But the cost goes far beyond dollars. These drones form the backbone of America's intelligence gathering and precision strike capabilities in Yemen, the eyes and occasionally the fist of American power. For months, America has escalated its campaign against the Houthis, launching hundreds of airstrikes against targets across Yemen. Central Command reports over 800 targets hit, including command centers, weapons storage facilities, and air defense systems, all while insisting the campaign is degrading Houthi military capabilities, all while promising American technological superiority would prevail. There's a special kind of strategic anxiety that builds when your technological advantage, the very foundation of your military doctrine, begins to erode. It doesn't dissipate. It concentrates, it hardens, it transforms. Every drone that gets shot down becomes another reason to question fundamental assumptions. Every successful interception becomes another data point suggesting the unthinkable, that a non-state actor has developed effective countermeasures against one of America's most advanced military platforms. The pressure builds slowly, imperceptibly at first, then faster, until it becomes impossible to ignore, until military doctrines must be rewritten, until budgets must be reallocated, until the technological superiority you've taken for granted no longer seems quite so certain. Sometimes the most dangerous strategic shifts aren't immediate. They're the ones that accumulate gradually, case by case, drone by drone. They wait, they build, they gather momentum, and when they finally emerge into public consciousness, they're already transformative, not just in capability loss, but in confidence shattered. What's changed isn't America's willingness to deploy advanced technology, it's the effectiveness of that technology against an increasingly sophisticated adversary. The breaking point isn't about a single drone, it's about crossing the threshold where technological superiority transforms into technological vulnerability, where unquestioned advantage gives way to strategic reassessment. To understand what's happening, you need to understand both the players and the platform. The MQ-9 Reaper isn't just any drone, it's the cornerstone of America's unmanned aerial capabilities. With a wingspan of 66 feet and a length of 36 feet, this drone can loiter at altitudes up to 50,000 feet for over 24 hours, depending on its configuration. Each Reaper costs approximately $30 million and represents the culmination of decades of American investment in unmanned systems. The U.S. Air Force has about 280 of these platforms in its inventory, and losing 7 in such a short time span represents a significant drain on a critical military asset. The Houthis, meanwhile, are an Iranian-backed rebel group that controls much of northern Yemen, including the capital Sana'a. Since October 2023, they've expanded their operations to include attacks on international shipping in the Red Sea, claiming solidarity with Palestinians following Hamas attacks on Israel. This maritime campaign has severely disrupted global trade, with over 100 merchant vessels targeted. On March 15, 2025, the Trump administration launched Operation Rough Rider, a sustained air campaign against Houthi targets that has now cost nearly $1 billion. Officials hope to establish air superiority within 30 days, setting the stage for a shift to more aggressive surveillance and targeting of Houthi leadership. But the systematic downing of MQ-9 drones has complicated this timeline. Without boots on the ground in Yemen, American military planners rely heavily on these drones for surveillance, battlefield damage assessments, and tracking Houthi activities. Each loss not only represents millions in equipment, but a significant degradation in America's ability to gather the intelligence needed to conduct effective operations. Share in the comments if you've seen other instances where advanced technology failed to deliver its promised advantages against determined adversaries. But here's what most analysis misses. What's at stake isn't just drone losses or operational setbacks. It's the entire framework of American military dominance. It's about who sets the rules of modern warfare, who can effectively challenge technological supremacy, and who suffers when long-held assumptions about military advantage collapse. It's about credibility in a world where perception of power often matters more than actual kinetic capabilities. The pattern of drone losses reveals something crucial that mainstream media is missing. These aren't just lucky shots by the Houthis, they represent a systematic capability to defeat one of America's most sophisticated unmanned systems. According to defense officials, hostile fire is the likely cause of these downings, though investigations continue. The losses occurred on specific dates: March 31st, April 3rd, April 9th, April 13th, April 18th, April 19th, and April 22nd, suggesting a consistent and improving capability rather than random success. This reveals three critical realities. First, the Houthis have likely obtained advanced air defense technology and expertise from their Iranian backers. The ability to track, target, and successfully engage high-altitude drones operating at the edge of conventional detection requires sophisticated radar and missile systems that weren't previously part of the Houthi arsenal. Second, America's traditional tactics for protecting these platforms have proven insufficient. MQ-9s typically rely on altitude, stealth characteristics, and electronic countermeasures for protection. The consistent success against these measures suggests the Houthis have developed techniques to overcome all three protective layers. Third, and most concerning, these capabilities are likely being shared with other Iranian proxies across the Middle East, potentially placing American drone operations at risk in multiple theaters simultaneously. What makes this situation different is the persistent nature of these losses despite America's awareness of the threat. These aren't one-off successes followed by adaptation and renewed American advantage. They're continuing despite what must be significant efforts to protect these valuable assets. The strategic chess game between America and the Iran-backed Houthis has entered a new phase, with unmanned systems as the critical battlefield. Each drone downed isn't just about the immediate loss, it's about the strategic calculation being forced upon American military planners. The message to Washington: your technological advantage cannot guarantee air superiority. The signal to other adversaries: American drones are vulnerable. The declaration to allies: American protection may not be as formidable as previously assumed. What we're witnessing isn't just drone warfare, it's the rewriting of the rules of technological asymmetry. Most media coverage focuses on individual drone losses or the broader air campaign, missing the larger pattern. They report statistics, they show footage of airstrikes, they quote officials, but they miss the strategic transformation unfolding. This isn't about individual platforms, it's about a fundamental challenge to the technological foundation of American military power. It's not about Yemen, it's about the future of warfare. Is this just about Yemen, or is there a larger strategic shift occurring? The answer becomes clear when you analyze the tactical progression, examine the timing relative to American operational phases, and consider the implications for U.S. military doctrine worldwide. The consequences of this evolving capability are already visible. For American military planners, the strategic impact cannot be overstated. Central Command spokesman Dave Eastburn claims the air campaign has achieved significant results, noting that Houthi missile launches have decreased by 87% and one-way drone attacks have dropped by 65% since operations began. But behind these statistics lies a troubling reality. American intelligence gathering capability in Yemen is degrading precisely when it's most needed. Each drone lost represents not only $30 million in equipment, but a significant gap in surveillance coverage. This is the storm that changes the battlefield permanently. The ripples aren't just in Yemen. They're in Pentagon budget discussions, in military procurement priorities, in drone deployment protocols worldwide. They're in defense contractor boardrooms, in congressional hearings, and in the strategic calculus of every nation that has built its security doctrine around American-style unmanned systems. Despite the overwhelming air power arrayed against them, Houthi defiance continues. The group has maintained its ability to launch missiles and drones at both commercial shipping and targets in Israel, though at a reduced rate. Each American drone downed reinforces their narrative of successful resistance against a technological superpower. The technological impact extends far beyond Yemen. U.S. officials have acknowledged that the operation has strained American resources, particularly as substantial amounts of long-range weaponry, vital for potential conflicts in the Pacific, have been consumed in this campaign. The loss of sophisticated drones compounds this strain, raising questions about sustainability and resource allocation. The question now isn't whether the campaign continues, it's what form it takes next. Will the U.S. deploy different platforms less vulnerable to Houthi countermeasures? Will drone operations be curtailed or confined to areas with minimal risk? Will manned aircraft, with the additional risk to pilots, be required to fill the intelligence gap? And most importantly, what does the Pentagon do if the rate of drone losses continues or accelerates? We've reached an inflection point in modern warfare. The age of unchallenged American drone supremacy, a paradigm that has defined conflict for 2 decades, is facing its most serious challenge. This isn't hyperbole or futurism. It's the current reality being shaped in the mountains of Yemen and the strategic planning rooms of the Pentagon. The positioning of American military assets reflects this growing concern. The Navy has deployed additional ships to the region. The Air Force continues drone operations despite the losses. Central Command maintains that the campaign is achieving its objectives. But behind these public statements lies a fundamental reassessment of capabilities, vulnerabilities, and strategic options. The future implications extend beyond Yemen. Watch drone deployment patterns in other theaters. Watch procurement priorities in upcoming defense budgets. Watch for technological adaptations in the next generation of unmanned systems. These are the domains where this new paradigm will manifest next. The world is recalibrating to a reality where advanced drone technology doesn't guarantee military advantage, where determined adversaries with the right support can effectively challenge systems that cost orders of magnitude more than the countermeasures deployed against them. Comment adaptation. If you believe America will develop new technologies to overcome these vulnerabilities, or limitation, if you think this represents a permanent constraint on drone operations in contested environments, your perspective matters in understanding how this technological shift is perceived. This isn't just military analysis, it's understanding the technologies that will shape global security in your lifetime. The nations that recognize and adapt to emerging vulnerabilities will maintain their edge, while those who cling to assumptions of technological invincibility risk strategic obsolescence. Subscribe to understand the forces reshaping warfare while others remain fixated on hardware specifications and budget numbers. Join a community that sees beyond individual incidents, that recognizes technological inflection points before they become conventional wisdom. In my next analysis, I'll reveal how the integration of electronic warfare with conventional air defense creates capabilities that even advanced militaries struggle to counter. A synthesis that could fundamentally alter the cost-benefit calculation of unmanned systems in contested environments. The technological choices made today will echo for generations. Will you understand them as they unfold, or realize their importance only after they've already transformed global security? One final thought. Watch how defense contractors respond to these incidents in their next generation of unmanned systems. Their design priorities will tell a story that Pentagon statements never will. The market understands what many analysts miss, that the future of drone warfare isn't measured by altitude, endurance, or payload capacity. It's measured by survivability against increasingly sophisticated countermeasures deployed by adversaries who have studied American technology and developed specific methods to defeat it.